Joshua chapter 5 Circumcision Passover. And the commander of the Lord's army, the Jordan has been crossed. Israel has entered the promised land. Jericho stands just ahead, its towering walls untouched. The people expect God to command an immediate attack, but instead, he tells them to stop. No battle, no marching, no weapons. First comes renewal. Before Israel can conquer the land, God must prepare their hearts. And then, on a quiet evening outside Jericho, Joshua encounters a mysterious warrior whose identity will leave him speechless. Welcome to Joshua chapter 5. After crossing the Jordan River, the surrounding nations are filled with fear because of what God has done for Israel. Before leading his people into battle, God commands Joshua to circumcise the new generation of Israelites born during the wilderness journey. This act renews Israel's covenant relationship with him. The Israelites celebrate the Passover in the Promised Land for the first time, remembering God's deliverance from Egypt. The following day, the miraculous manna that had sustained them for 40 years ceases as they begin eating the produce of Canaan. Near Jericho, Joshua encounters a mysterious man holding a drawn sword. When Joshua asks whether he is friend or foe, the answer is unexpected. Neither. But as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come. Joshua falls to the ground in worship, realizing he is standing on holy ground. Let's find out what happened in detail. Now when all the Amorite kings west of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings along the coast heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts melted in fear and they no longer had the courage to face the Israelites. Circumcision and Passover at Gilgal. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the Israelites again." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gibeath Haraloth. Now, this is why he did so. All those who came out of Egypt, all the men of military age died in the wilderness on the way after leaving Egypt. All the people who came out had been circumcised, but all the people born in the wilderness during the journey from Egypt had not. The Israelites had moved about in the wilderness for 40 years until all the men who were of military age when they left Egypt had died, since they had not obeyed the Lord. For the Lord had sworn to them that they would not see the land he had solemnly promised their ancestors to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So he raised up their sons in their place, and these were the ones Joshua circumcised. They were still uncircumcised because they had not been circumcised on the way, and after the whole nation had been circumcised, they remained where they were in camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you." So the place has been called Gilgal to this day. On the evening of the 14th day of the month, while camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, the Israelites celebrated the Passover. The day after the Passover, that very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. The manna stopped the day after they ate this food from the land. There was no longer any manna for the Israelites, but that year they ate the produce of Canaan. The fall of Jericho. Now, when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord I have now come." Then Joshua fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Lessons and teachings. 1. The covenant must be renewed. Joshua circumcised the men at Gilgal. 5:2-3 The new generation needed the sign of the covenant. For us, Israel wanted to move straight into battle, but God first called them to renew their covenant, celebrate his faithfulness, and worship him. Sometimes we ask God to open doors quickly, while he is gently preparing our hearts for what lies ahead. Renew your commitment to God regularly. 2. God rolls away reproach. Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt. 5:9 The shame of the past is removed. For us, God removes our shame and gives us a new identity. God often prepares us inwardly before he works through us outwardly. 3. The Passover points to salvation. They celebrated the Passover. 5:10 The Feast of Deliverance is celebrated. For us, remember your deliverance through Christ, our Passover lamb. 4. The manna ceases. A new season begins. The manna stopped the day after they ate the produce of the land. 5:12 A season of dependence ends. A new season of provision begins. For us, God's provision may change with the season. The manna stopped not because God had abandoned his people, but because he was leading them into a new stage of his plan. We should not fear change when God is guiding it. God provides differently in different seasons. 5 The commander of the Lord's army is divine. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy. 5:15 The commander is the Lord himself. For us, worship the Lord, he is the commander of all. 6 The battle is the Lord's. As commander of the Lord's army I have now come. 5:14 Am Joshua did not need to ask whose side he was on. He was on the Lord's side. For us, the most important question is not whether God is on our side, but whether we are walking in faithful obedience to Him. The Lord fights for you, be on His side. 7. Joshua chapter 5 beautifully points us to Jesus in several ways. The Passover reminds us of the Lamb whose blood spared Israel in Egypt. That deliverance ultimately foreshadows Christ, the perfect Passover Lamb, whose sacrifice brings redemption to all who trust in Him. The end of the manna also points forward. In the wilderness, God fed His people with bread from heaven. In the New Testament, Jesus declares, "I am the bread of life." Just as manna sustained Israel physically, Christ gives spiritual life that endures forever. Finally, the commander of the Lord's army reminds us that God's people are never alone. Before Israel faced Jericho, God revealed His sovereign authority and presence. Whatever one's understanding of this mysterious commander, the encounter emphasizes that the battle belongs to the Lord and that victory depends on His leadership rather than human strength. Thank you for journeying through God's Word with us. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Until next time, may God's Word be the lamp to your feet and the light to your path. This is Whispers of the Word, where every chapter whispers the heart of God. God bless you.